Must be a little bit longer for the secretary to show up.
I know she was coming, we were both at the same party, there was a garden party. And I said, you better leave.
Just got Chip's check for
Oh,
a
good,
while, yeah. Don't know who else we're waiting on,
okay.
I'm not sure.
Good.
Mm. Well, it used to be easy, I could just do mobile deposit into the Canva, but now it's in the first, so.
You can do the same with that.
Yeah, I don't have that information, I think, because Sheila set it up.
Cause you can deposit, just take a picture of the check. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I do that with mine.
It's easy for me,
We'll get you set up.
yeah.
Well, that's fun. The whole conversation is going into the chat here.
Oh, no.
Oh, nice.
There you go. I think this meeting will be kind of short, but,
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
yeah.
Guidebooks will be in on Monday. Yay.
Alright.
Yeah. So, hey,
There's our secretary. I told you.
I want to talk to you about this, but I have like, there's 7 people staring at me. Hey, you're not on like speaker, so don't worry about that. But the computer is on live stream. I'm sorry, I was trying to. Sorry. That's why. All right. When the boss calls.
Was that Dennis?
That's it.
Oh.
I thought he had something.
You haven't been
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Good gentleman. Like to call him. I'll do it. Anyways. I'd like to call the order. It is 6:06. We have a quorum. Thank you all for attending. Short notice. The first order of business is approval of meeting minutes. I appreciate the attention to detail that Melissa did.
My only comment is just not making wrong.
Yeah. Yes,
There's no E.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay.
my bad.
That's okay.
there's one RT.
Nope, there's two.
Oh, no, my name.
Oh, oh, right, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I have a friend who has two Rs.
Oh,
This-
really?
Yes.
There's something.
So I just typed it the way Aaron has it.
I can change my birth.
No, it's,
Yeah, I'm an American.
he's
Anyways,
Scottish, so.
let's see. Any more comments or questions, concerns?
Nope, not for me.
All right,
I would move to approve as amended.
I'll
Spelling
second it.
amendments.
thank you. Everybody.
Sure.
Yeah. Good, thank you. The first thing I wanted to just put in the packet was, Bill came in today and, gave me this article. We can share it with everybody else.
It's just,
You want to run?
it's about the building houses to rent. It's probably not applicable to this area. I mean, metropolitan area, but I just throw things in, might make you think of something else related to it, that can help us. But there's, again, when I spoke last time, I talked about how people can't afford to buy a house, so they're renting. And this is people, they're probably executives or something with some large company and they get moved around and they rent the house. And they've got a yard for the kids and everything, unlike an apartment building and all. It's something, I think it was Fox News. I thought it was Wall Street Journal, but I just looked at it, it's Fox News. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting and it might someday click with something we're doing.
I know like the metro areas, they're buying up, the corporate big companies, you buying those, but, I think it was Atlanta that I read, they're buying up starter homes, like they're actually the old housing stock, these companies. And that's actually causing some problem for young families that want, I'm sorry, because these companies are buying them. And basically pricing them out of that market, of purchasing the more affordable home.
But even then renting them at a price that you can't afford.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a problem.
In this case here, it'd be like someone who's got to be with a big company, is gonna be there for 2 years. So he can afford that, he doesn't have to buy a house, go through all the routine, then
Yeah.
sell it later. But like I say, it might not be applicable around here.
The other thing that, I was talking to you about was, that might be a good model, is since we're in the population. Is, my parents live in Connecticut, it's 55 and older home. Or, like, no, complex. And they own the house, but they don't own the land.
Right.
It's a kind of association, but, maybe that's something we need to look at, trying to attract here. Really, but
Yeah, we're very popular in the Midwest.
really,
Something.
my parents really like it because they don't have to do the yard maintenance and stuff, the plow and mowing. But, they can still plant the flowers or whatever, but then they have a built-in neighborhood to, with people their age, they have a clubhouse that they go to and talk to people.
But they're not condos.
No, not kind of,
They're
it's
just
just nice.
single family homes.
Like they share walls or?
No, there's
Four
standalone.
houses, our home, were pretty expensive, but, I mean.
They've been a lot of them are maybe a little smaller in size. Because they are retirees, they don't need extra rooms and stuff like that, but then some are bigger, but then, yeah, my veterinarian had one.
There are a lot of those in Florida.
My mom.
Really popular, right? But also, I mean, another generation is a mobile home park. You don't own the property, you own your mobile, and
Right.
you got clubhouse and the pool. I like the chief's his in-laws. They got themselves did you see their house? It's a nice, small, it's very small, and maybe it has 4 rooms, I'm not sure. But, and I,
A tiny house.
no, it's not.
That's really small.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But they
it's-
have different, I mean, it
Yeah.
depends, I mean, there's different
Yeah.
levels.
It's square. And they just put on like a porch and whatever. Their neighbors have a bigger one because they're friends, I guess, that moved in. But I said, wow, I was surprised when I saw it because it's pretty small, but
Like
that
1,000 square feet or something?
Yeah.
Or maybe 800,
maybe,
yeah.
I know Knickerbocker, they're building tiny homes right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
In Wisconsin,
yeah.
yes,
and, right, with the gal's warehouse.
yeah, they want to become chamber members,
And,
$300,000 tiny home.
Yeah. Less than 1,000 square feet.
We moved here, we downsized from 3,000 square feet to 1,800. And we got it so that we can live on 1 floor if we have to. We have spare bedrooms upstairs in my office. Yeah,
Mhm.
except I got an acre and a quarter mowing.
But I mean, these are things that we should all think about, and that's what we need to look at in terms of seeing if we can find a land that somebody who's willing to sell. Town obviously has some land that we could develop on too, but we need to look at ways that we can attract that kind of development, and we talk about that.
There's a lot of, I mean, I don't know how hard it is for developers to come to Wisconsin, but we could make it easier maybe.
Yeah, or maybe that's what we need to do, is like sit down with some of these people and talk to them. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I know over the years, I've heard a lot of negative stuff, just before you came, when there was no planner and we had, code enforcement that was really hard to work with, I was hearing very negative stuff. Not so bad now, but I think that we still could, there's things that we can do that could make it easier. And then promote it, letting people know that, hey, we really are business friendly, we want to bring people in, we want developers to build, we want businesses to come. I think you've done a good job, Erin, and I saw the article that you wrote on, I forget where I read that now. Someplace that you put something out there. I'm not imagining this, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I feel so much one day.
I can probably share that, well, maybe I have already.
I've seen it somewhere, I just don't remember where, but it was nice, and I think that, was it a letter to the editor?
We actually got featured by this national publication, it's like a trade journal, called Business View.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
They were the ones that actually supposedly wrote the article, I ended up spending quite a bit of time rewriting their article. Anyways, that's, you know,
But those types of things, I think that, because there are big parcels of land still in Wiscasset that, I mean, I know John Libby for one just bought one and he's building a lot of homes out on Foy Road. Which is good. We need more homes to accommodate, the lack of housing and to help with the tax base.
I mean, we meet with them and just say, how is it going? What do you need? What were your roadblocks? What has been great?
Yeah, I
You know
know
what I mean? Just to kind of get the feel for what.
what his experience has been. Yeah, I can ask him.
Yeah.
Depending on what type of house he's building, and one of the big ones these days, obviously, is interest rates. Borrowing the requirements, you know, because it's generally a passive investment if you own some homes,
well, that's definitely hurting us.
you know, and yeah. I mean, that's gonna change, but I don't think it's gonna change quickly.
I'd also just point out that the low interest rates that we've had for the last
Yeah.
10 years are remarkably
23,
low.
23.
23 years are remarkably low, and that's not the norm for rates. So,
No,
although I would like them to come down too, we shouldn't let ourselves think that it's too high.
What's that?
7%.
It's somewhere around there, but the thing is with where they were,
it's so low.
and then again, the prices have come up so much, so you've got higher interest rates and higher prices.
Yeah.
And usually you have one or the other, you know, they kind of balance each other out, but they're both high
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
relatively high,
That's true.
yeah. And that has priced a lot of people out. I mean, I've seen people that when it was 3% and 4%, that may have been approved for 500,000, now they can only afford 400,000 or 350,000.
Right, yeah.
Right, to have you save another $150,000.
When you can't find something at 500, how are you gonna find something at 350? It's just,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Do we have properties identified that are available? Or could be available?
I've been looking, actually, on the tax map, that there's some pretty large parcels of land. I mean, I'm not prepared to talk to you guys about that right now, but I did look at some, going up Route 27 and, in particular, because I was thinking of creating a TIF district in that area to kind of induce, development. And what that would do is also help pay for expansion of utilities and things like that, the TIF district would. And I was thinking. Some pretty big lots, not too far from the main road, that were some pretty substantial in size, you know, obviously the town doesn't own them, but. You know, I would think that if somebody got a hold of one of them and realized. Geez, you know, I could put some homes in there, that might be.
But those major developments are kind of costly, you know, figuring the road work, this, to that, whatever, all of a sudden, a small, I guess what I'm saying, is a small guy might be able to build a house here and a house there, is priced out of that market,
Yeah,
because it takes real money.
So that's where I was coming from, was like, I wanna try and find a way to. Lower their costs, the development costs.
Yeah, but some of that state law, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and we jump through all these different
Right,
hoops.
you gotta have sewer hookups, you gotta have. Yeah, and that's something that we can help with potentially, by saying, we will do the sewer hookups, or we will do to X point in the road, and you'll have to do to the, I mean, you know what I mean? There are things that we can look at that might help with that.
The question is like, I have to caution myself, is like, okay, you know, I look at these big pieces of land. You know, I don't know who owns them or any of the history behind them, and so I wanna be careful about. To come up with a development scheme around a piece of property that might have been multi-generational farm or something.
well, you should talk to me about that, cause I know a lot of people, and I think I know who you're talking about on 27, and I don't think that they would be.
It was actually just on it, it was like, I might, don't, what was the problem for one or something.
Wouldn't it be,
Okay.
wouldn't it be valuable to know who needs housing before we talk about putting in developments, I mean, whether it's a $300,000 tiny house or a $500,000, whatever. I mean, there are developments in this community
Yeah.
that have failed.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful communities, and there's no reason that I know of that they should have failed, but they have. So I feel like we need to know who's coming here,
Yeah,
who needs a home here, and what can they afford? Are they renters? Are they owners? Are they seasonal?
so that's kind of what, there's some of that work, legwork's been done. MCOG, the West Coast Council of Governments, put together this housing gap analysis. You know, we don't have to go over that today, that's why the meeting's gonna be shorter, unfortunately, I can get this stuff off you sooner, but. You know, I'd like to look at this and just kind of, you know, see what we can glean from that, and then maybe, and then there's the other one that Lincoln County, Council of Governments, I mean, not that, so Regional Planning Commission put together. And, I didn't make copies of this, but I will, I can email them to you, and, the copies available for you next week. This is a countywide study, and it has a lot of information in there. And I'd like to, you know, then we can, like you said, be more knowledgeable about what the market is, and you know, who needs housing and stuff like that.
It's like I read that, like Bath Ironworks needs to hire like 5,000 people, and that's a round number, but they can't because there's no place for any of the people to live. You know, so it's like,
That's what
they need to hire them, but they can't be driving to Portland every day, you know?
Yeah.
So-
Actually, that's a short drive.
Yeah, half people drive way from.
Believe me.
Oh, okay, Barbara, right, or
Yeah,
Wells, or what is one of those other ones down there?
yeah.
You know, but yeah, yeah. Of course, that's also why I have single car accidents.
So, I mean, I think you bring up a great point, is that, you know, we have a major employer that needs housing, needs to find housing for its people closer by. And we have land, and so I feel like that's why this is important. You know, I wanted to talk to you about this is in terms of ways that we can market maybe that Old Ferry Road property with some browse. And, you know, talk to some developers, what they think is the problem, you know, how, you know, the roadblocks and things like that that you mentioned. So hopefully we can get sort of a sweet spot with a plan together. And I think some of that stuff's already here, so, what I like to, maybe at another meeting, we can talk about that, and how I feel about
And maybe BIW would be willing to make some investments. You know, that's what they did years ago, that's what, you know, a lot of companies did, they had housing for their people or they built it. I mean, if BIW is desperate enough, maybe they just need to, you know, be prodded into, you know, getting together with area towns and how we can best work together.
that. I think they're receptive, we'll see on that.
Yeah, I think we really need
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah, and these major subdivisions take a lot of money up front, you know, a lot of planning, you know, you've got all your survey work and this work and road planning, curbing, all those things we mandate, or the state does, that cost money, real money.
We could also talk to some of the large developers like Jensen's.
Genesis, fine, yeah.
You know, I mean, they're mobile home parks, but they're up and down the coast. And, you know, they certainly would know how to go in and, you know, what they need to do. And so maybe there would be, again, somebody to talk to for,
So I'm meeting with a guy by the name John Egan, you might know him. He's a a long time person, like, you know, Uber and Shaker, from the Wisconsin area.
John
Egan,
Egan,
used to work for CI,
it sounds familiar, but
he works for Genesis.
Yeah.
And,
Like, what's Genesis?
so they basically are a group that provides basically an angel investing to developers, provide technical assistance to developers and municipalities build housing. They're more slated towards workforce and affordable housing. But, you know, I think what BIW is looking for is a little bit, they're not necessarily looking for affordable housing, but I think they're actually looking at market rate. But I think this guy, that I'm meeting with, knows the market and the industry well enough, that he could give some good guidance. When I meet with him, it's actually my memo here to the board. I'll meet with him. I think it's like into a meeting of ours. Is it? Planners, I meet with them end of the month. And, to see how he can help us with the Old Ferry Road boundary, in particular, maybe a Mason Station. Maybe it'll just invite someone like that to a meeting. A very cool one. It's JONEGAN, Genesis. They. Anyways, yeah. So I think that's a good source. I was at a conference last week and I made contact with him. That's how I met him. And then I also was a same conference and I met with some representatives from the State Housing Authority. They primarily do affordable housing and workforce housing. But the way I see it is a lot of the stuff that we're gonna be doing is what you call, we wanna try and build a package together and you wanna stack all the different incentives and things to make it all work. So there might be some affordable housing options along with the market rate stuff. And that's how the developer's gonna make his money, make their money, or get their return on investment when they develop a property. So I think that's why we do invite and these people to the table and be willing to listen and willing to accept, maybe consider the affordable housing option.
But we need affordable housing.
Yeah,
I mean, we shouldn't be ignoring it.
I know, it's just what I'm saying is I know that there's some people who are very, when you mention affordable housing, some people are very skittish about it. So I just want to make sure that we do consider that. And that's mentioned here in that gap analysis.
I mean, a larger, if you're looking at larger tracts of land. I mean, ultimately, they support a range of types of housing.
Mixed use, yeah.
Yeah.
well, and the other thing is that, you know, maybe a developer doesn't, build all the homes, but you subdivide it and sell the lots. Cause that's a big need too, is just land, there's no land and people could hire their own builders and build their own homes. There's a lack of all of that, it's just.
One of the things that I've been sort of advocating for, I'm not sure Bill agrees with, but we've been doing a little bit of black with this, but I do think that we need to have a planner who can help us, with this project, at least the Old Ferry Road. Because I think it's gonna become complicated, and when I was speaking to, a gentleman at the Land Bank Authority, and he was talking to some people at the developers at Mason Station, was that yesterday or this week? And he was talking about, he was a planner in Portland, so that was his earlier career. And he said when you get into these big projects, you have a tendency because to phase them in. But if you have a plan that's approved by the planning board early on in the process, and it's all down on paper, and then what you do is you find developers to build out certain segments of components of that planning. It might take years to do, but because of the complexity of it, you might be able to find one developer that's willing to do all of it. But I do think that when you have a complicated piece of land, a project, you really need to, go back to the plan. I'm a big plan person, but I do think that, and that's my recommendation. And, you know, we can learn otherwise from meeting these people too, so.
That's what we did on that plan I showed you for the downtown that I did in Illinois.
Yeah.
Had a plan, but we left it loose enough. We brought in developers, 3 of them, promised them nothing, told them that. Had them look at it and said, would you invest in this? Or don't do anything stupid. They looked at it and said, no. But it was all minor things. So one guy said, they talked about it. They said, oh, that might be brought it up. They threw it up. Got it, played with it. We had prior to that spent $250,000 in 2 or 3 years for consultants. Took something off the rack and put it back on the rack when they were done, nothing happened to it. So if we did this in 6 months, cost nothing. And now it's a $110 million downtown. Across the street, there's a couple $1 million, $100 million for apartments and stores underneath and beyond that. I got 10 years, if I go back now, I wouldn't recognize the place, but we put the plan together, then they come in and they left them a little room to
Yeah,
change things.
tweak it, yeah.
Definitely. I support that. We just need to get on a concept though. I do think that we need to kind of, the jigsaw puzzle, because if we want to incorporate all these different types of housing and different types of uses on that property, you know, we need to have somebody help us figure that out.
And we went very first, we could find out what we would build on there. That's the important thing. Then when you get that, then you get some ideas. You have an idea before you start.
Right.
Have some ideas that you might want a little industrial over here, you might want apartments here, you might want homes over there.
So I've reached out to the University of Connecticut. That's my alma mater, but that's not the reason why I reached out to them. They have a program that's funded through the EPA. And I guess each EPA region in the country has this similar sort of university-led group. It's called the Technical Assistance for Brownfields. And they help out municipalities and things like that with doing some of this planning and doing some of this site evaluation that Bill's talking about. And I think that, so I reached out to them, they're interested in helping us. And it kind of was helpful that I mentioned that I was a graduate there, but anyways, I don't think so actually, but anyways, they do want to help us, and I have to set a meeting with them. I'm working on that, but I think that'll be the vehicle to get this project going, to help us. And once they come up here and they start doing that work, I'm gonna invite them to a meeting here. And hopefully you all can provide input.
And you can do this for free? An important part to mention.
And well, nothing's free, you know, that they have access to the federal funds.
Right, they get grants, they get allocations, yeah. But it's free to us.
Yes.
That's the important part. To me.
Very nice. So that is kind of an exciting project, well, process that we're going on.
And that's for Old Ferry Road?
Oak Ferry Road, and then, I mean, I ideally would like to get them, one of the things that I was at Brownfield conference with Dennis the week before. And, you know, they were talking about their services there at that meeting, and they also can put it on Brownfield mandatories. And I was actually thinking that maybe we can have them do an inventory of the whole town. And see where the brownfields are. I'm sure all of us can probably start naming a few, places that might need some remediation, or some sort of assessment. But I think that. Anyways, so that's one of the things that you would like to work on. And interestingly enough, if you were to look at the charge, the select board, you know, the directives of the select board put together, they very wisely put in there that this committee is brownfield divided. So anytime you receive federal money, the town has to have a brownfield advisory committee. And that's it, Dennis, why create another committee, just put down name only as for our responsibilities. So anything that is related to brownfields will come to us. So here, well, things.
We're gonna vote on this today.
Or what?
It's on your agenda.
The bylaws, I think we need to throw in the approval.
And that's where you're referring to, right? It's in there, but it
Actually,
says.
the original directive.
Oh, okay, but it's also in here though, to serve as the town's brownfield advisory committee by assisting town staff, blah, blah, blah.
The actual bylaws, though, is on the agenda, which is sort of the rules, procedures, directives, sort of
What we're supposed to do.
charged with, right? So I don't know if you all had a chance to look at the bylaws, but any questions, comments? Once again, you don't necessarily need to, make that decision here today, but I'd like to really get this adopted soon, so we can put this behind us and move on to the work of the committee.
So let's do it.
Make a motion to adopt.
I second.
I thought they were good, common sense, solid,
Yeah.
you know, you have the standards of conduct, which are great, you know. The meeting format, I enjoyed some of that, you can discuss things without emotion, which, you know, often happens, people jump and say, we're gonna talk about this. And we're out of order if you don't have emotion. So saith Roberts. So I mean, it's, and that's reflective, I think, of the tone of it, it's somewhat loose
Yeah,
and engaging, so I approve.
so this committee document was mostly came from the committee handbook. I did make some amendments to it from my previous experiences. But one of the things that I do want to point out to you that there is a change. I did speak to the clerk about this. I know that we had some of us that were, some of you that were appointed until June.
Oh, yeah.
We changed the expiration date to, that's the only amendment on this that we need to make is December 31st. And speaking to her, she mentioned to me that all the town meetings expire on 12/31 unless they're elected.
Oh, all of them do.
So that's the way I was.
Okay.
So that was in my previous life, as town manager, we had all our committees expire in June, so that's the reason.
So all of these would expire
31, but a different year.
So I make a motion that we adopt it as amended to reflect December 31st. as appropriate. In accordance with the clerk's rules. Or the time, whatever that is.
I think it's just a standard practice, so something that you.
And I second that motion, the amended motion.
Thank you. That'll be good, on our next meeting, I'll clean that up, and then I'll have it ready for you guys to sign.
So are we all in favor?
Oh,
Yeah.
other details. Thank you.
No, not to the secretary.
The review of demographics, we kind of already kind of jumped to that one, but. I gave you a copy of the health gap analysis, and I will email you, a copy of this, Building County. Housing assessment.
Great.
And, you can come pick it up next week, that one's good. But we should probably be prepared to talk about this in depth and see what we think are some trends, and the nice thing about the Lincoln County is that it actually gives recommendations. And I wonder if there's anything in there that stands out, in particular that we can talk about. And I think that's where we were kind of going with this. And for the next meeting, we would want to invite anybody. We'll talk. Housing demographics. We obviously don't have to solve that problem next week, thoughts.
On specifically,
Anything.
oh, on anything, broadly.
It was just dead. Anyway, when is our next meeting? We have been, planning that, yeah. Kind of been meeting on us.
Well, like I said, last meeting. And again, you don't plan these around me, but Thursday nights I have a live on the common concerts that I have
Oh, okay.
all through July and the first 2 weeks of August. So Thursdays won't work for me. But
Just a hop, skip and a jump. Between sets.
So everything is enough.
it is,
Except the last one, which is Park Walk.
right.
Which kept it both ways.
Yeah. So basically Thursdays are bad. So.
I mean, August is, the end of August, I'm fine. and
The
all
only
that.
problem is that. The only problem with Wednesdays is, I think those are booked. But that's the only reason why we need to know. Thursday.
And we can't do anything in the middle of the day, probably.
I don't know if I can.
What about you, you probably can't do
I usually do meetings anytime, so.
it, you know? Can we do something earlier on Thursdays? I mean, or another night?
Yeah,
I mean, Thursdays works for me, it's just that it would have to be maybe,
lunch hour after.
I can do earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not tied to night times.
Yeah.
We just,
I prefer.
I'm more aware, I'm more alert, more energy, clear mind.
Daytime's fine, I got, on one Thursday, I've got a lunch, and that's all.
So it was after lunch.
So what do you
2
think?
o'clock there?
Yeah, 2 is perfect, really.
When?
Which Thursday?
Which Thursday?
I already put on a calendar, match the calendar before Thursday,
The 4th Thursday,
if that's all right with you.
that'd be the 25th.
Is that okay with you, Bill?
Yeah. At 2
Not
o'clock.
with me.
So.
Is what we do.
No.
Okay.
The whole day
Is
or-
the whole day or a different time?
No, the whole
Yeah.
day, Russ, going in for.
We're talking July now.
Are we talking June or July?
July.
Okay, are we done? This is our June meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She said, "I'm
Yeah.
coming back."
yeah, let's all say it here.
What Thursday was it again? Third, fourth?
July.
No, but you can't.
Can you do the 3rd?
On the 18th? Yeah.
Could we for that month do it on the 3rd Thursday?
Sure.
The talk can be.
We're moving it to the, yeah, we're.
No,
doing
you're
it in the middle of the day,
always.
that's First, second, third,
Is it
fourth.
just for that month?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's not always.
No.
So the 18th at 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, you can always meet, if you need to, you know, at the Lincoln County Regional Planning Office as well.
Okay.
And we've met as a different committee in the community center too.
Okay.
As long as we give notice, right?
Yeah.
Then we
Yeah.
met our,
How about August? You want that?
Why don't you keep it on the same day every month?
Yeah.
The 3rd, so let's keep it on the 3rd
Thursday.
Thursday.
All the thoughts.
That's good, keep it busy.
What day is it in August?
15th.
Well, that's the 15th and you haven't live, so what, would we do another daytime?
2 o'clock would be great.
2 o'clock is fine with me.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Literally 6 o'clock at night on a Thursday is the worst possible time of the entire week for me, so I only try to say 3 a.m. any day, it doesn't matter, this is.
Did you say 3 a.m.?
Well, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm good.
August 15th,
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 in the afternoon.
yeah.
I am gonna have I'm working on getting the scout hall set up for meetings, so I'll have to watch that there too.
That's where we're
Yeah,
gonna,
that'd be great.
No, we don't have to.
How did that grant, did we get it? Did we? Did it occur?
We just get to see how people are doing, so,
Okay.
unfortunately. We're waiting to hear back from Senator Collins in Pickering.
Yeah, we can't get every grant.
Why
I
not?
met with a representative from Senator Collins today. And we talked about that stuff there. And we talked about some other projects. Including the old area road, the Mason Station, and of course our lovely septic sewer treatment plant.
Begin review of community demographics. That's like,
This thing,
Now,
is that,
Yeah.
but our community
Yeah.
is living there.
I had hoped to email this.
Okay, so next time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know if I
Sorry.
needed to read anything.
Thank you. We need to.
Well, I'm trying.
and then your director's update, May monthly meeting, we don't need to review that particularly, do we?
I mean, if you want me to go over it, I think you want to read it.
Yeah, I'll read it.
I'll just read my agenda.
Anyways, yeah. I think, you'll see that there's been some momentum in my office. This month. You want to put on the agenda? The Vermont key thing, so we can talk about that, maybe at the next meeting. I don't know, so you had all mentioned in the last meeting that you would like to see that, because I mentioned stuff.
What was it?
Vermont Yankee, what they,
Oh, Vermont Yankee, okay, I didn't hear that's what I didn't hear, yeah, sorry. Good. What are we doing now?
Too much.
I think it's a good idea to discuss it. Yeah, to read it online, but I like to have paper.
Yeah.
If you all want to swing next week, I have seen to have.
Next month. Saying next week.
He's saying in general, if people wanna stop in next week.
Oh, for that,
I get the
sorry.
comments.
Right, to pick up, pick the work. What's the name of that report that we're gonna pick up?
The vote.
Restoration and redevelopment plan, Vermont Yankee.
Have you read this already?
Yeah. I think it's really, I do want to call them actually, and see where they are, but, I think it's a great opportunity for the town. And that I think would be, you know, I know there's some people talking about clean energy, but I think that would be the location for it. In my mind. Because their proposal would be that they're talking about solar. Farm, they're talking about battery storage.
Biochar.
They haven't mentioned that, but I mean, there's so much land over there.
How many acres does Maine Yankees own?
180.
That they own
Yeah.
over there where the plant used to be?
So, I mean, there's a lot of land over there, it's just not developed, not being used. And one of the thoughts that I had, when I mentioned to Dennis, was, you know, this might be a way for them to recoup some money for the pay us taxes. Right, if they can get generate some income.
They're gonna have to do a safety perimeter around what they're
Right.
guarding.
If you look at that, they did that over there.
Is that what they did? The same-
Yeah, they built a solar farm in that safety room.
Did they have the storage done the same way that we have here, the cans? Yeah. Cast, yeah.
So, I mean, they even included housing in there, and I'm not suggesting housing there, but
No, they did say that. Potentially.
We have a beautiful piece of land that we own right on the river. They put some very expensive houses, they've been looking out the back window, they're gonna be looking at the cast.
A lot of people would not want that, but
It's not for sissies.
I just assessed a $2 million home in Westport today, right across the river.
Yeah.
So they don't mind it as soon as they're across the river.
yeah, no, it's true.
so that was one of the things too, the site assessment was. I spoke to a brownfield company that had been using Saving Maynard. And, their engineers that's kind of what they do and. what part of the regulatory site assessment that we want to do for the Old Ferry Road. They would also interview people, adjacent property owners, and that would be Maine Yankee. And, they would do also like permit and paper. Investigation, so they would go to the town office to see if there's any studies, things like that, what the plans are associated with the Maine Yankee property. There's any legal notices and things like that. But one of the things that they, could help us out with. And, the last thing they might be able to do this is sort of give us their view on whether or not it's safe or not. In other words, you know, they may not be able to say that it's safe, like, right on the property, but like, if somebody wants to build a house across the street, or lives across the street, they could say that potentially that it is safe. You know, that there is no radiation coming off that. The Maine Yankee property. And I think that would be really useful for you, because we could put that, you know, on a website and say, hey, look at, well. you know, so-and-so just did that study on Old Ferry Road property, and they're quoted as saying, you know, it's safe. Hopefully that's what they find, but
Aaron, does Maine Yankee, they have so many people that apparently work there and whatever, don't they do monitoring on a regular basis?
yeah,
You know, so I mean, they must have some data, I don't know how slanted it might be, but.
yeah. But I think that's how this group, you know, when they do the site assessment on Old Ferry Road property, they then interview those folks and say, okay, what do you have for information on that?
Yeah. I would think they'd have to be fairly realistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I mean-
I could do it.
So I mean, I see this actually, you know, this whole very road project thing actually helping us out a lot of different little ways. Like just that alone, just having that site assessment would make people feel a little bit at ease. We had a letter or something
Yeah, it would be.
that you could hit out, you know.
I'm pretty bad on property procedure every month or whatever, that they have to report to the government.
Absolutely.
There's no radiation or anything like that, just, that's all you need is a letter from them saying that we do it, and we have not found any in 10 years,
Yeah,
whatever.
And then you guys, the last minutes from 2022 from the community advisory panel. It's 12 pages, might have info you're looking for.
Thank you.
how about a houseboat community on the river?
Now you're talking, Pat. Riverboat, casino.
I want one.
Yes, Branson, Missouri style.
That river is, what is it, 15 miles long?
I think it's 12 to the.
I wouldn't mind a little long boat there,
There you go. The Seattle style.
England.
Well, you know, it's interesting, I did talk to a developer or a person that has a boat. I think I told you about this, the name Tuckett. He would be willing to bring it up here, I just don't think that he's kind of interested in selling the boat to the town. For us to develop. And I kind of told them through cold water on that, but I don't think that's the town's business, but if we know anybody that would be willing to,
Yes, we had one that was floating restaurant, isn't it?
yeah.
Huh.
It's kind of breakfast, but
The Milos, huh?
I
The
would love to,
Milos.
Jamillos.
Oh,
I
okay.
would love to see something like that, like docked at Mason Station, you know,
Hmm.
but we need somebody to want to make that their business. Everybody.
Did you send that yet? Did you say you sent it? It's probably just my internet slow.
No, mine didn't show up on mine.
Send it as a reply to,
I got it.
to this
But you
meeting.
have better internet than I do. I get that, we do.
Yeah,
On the TOW Wi-Fi.
yeah.
I'm just using my data.
It's checking.
That,
Evan, can you just send it to my P. Cloutier? 1946 at Gmail.
Oh, there it is. All right, so do we have anything else to add to the minutes, or are we kind of done for the day?
If we're done, unless anybody wants to really feel motivated to talk about something else.
I don't want to talk about it, but I have a question. I mean, as we talk about, riverborne entertainment or lodging or what have you, does anybody know how to induce someone to undertake that? use.
The only thing that I can say is that we have a lot of places in Maine that are on the water.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, looking at DeMillo's or, you know, or, Grand, what is it, Grand Island? I mean, millions of people go over there.
And all the stores, the restaurants, porches out on the back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them and, you know, we're pretty light here on the Sheepscot, and the Sheepscot's a lovely river. I mean, it is a beautiful river. Water's Edge, they just have a really great spot there, you know? But,
Just needs a new gas station.
Yeah.
The last one was in Eshcombe, and now people don't come up here anymore.
Is that why? That's.
The gas station is gone and this harbor provides nothing.
That makes sense, yeah.
You go to Napa, you go to Goose Bay, you go to Rockland, and people with sailboats, they take them to Rockland now, they don't keep them here.
I know,
Nobody,
I
I
know they
know.
get gas in Damascotta,
think they sell gas right there.
right at the waterfront.
Maybe.
I don't remember seeing it.
but that's what, you know, that's what we heard.
You gotta have gas.
That, you know, people were warning each other in their communications, in the magazines and whatever, that not to come to Wiscasset. because there was-
So what can you do about getting gasoline down there?
They wanted to, you know, there's several people who are against doing anything down there, they think it should be only private, and it's just like, well, you got a wasted building down there, so. The waterfront committee was trying to do stuff like that, but got
Well,
cold water all over it.
it's,
I poured a little cold water on it because I'd love to see a private,
Yeah,
you know, development down there. Or a public-private partnership.
and if there was shore for somebody to get to, there probably would be, but.
Yeah, there's.
Well, you speak.
There's even piping, all piping going down there to put fuel at some time.
That's my understanding as well.
We could just.
there was.
There's, the infrastructure exists, it's just,
Mhm, just needs to be implemented.
I mean, that whole waterfront is underutilized.
It is.
Well, it sounds like this would be the critical element that's required. I mean, the start.
If you look
It
at,
is a good
if you look at the 2000 or 2020 thing, they talk about getting, you know, a private entrepreneur to come in and put in a pier for wharf and stuff.
Well, in that scenario where we could help.
I was gonna, I've been meaning to call John Davis up, because he was gonna look into that, he's big on the water stuff. And there one time he was looking to see if there was, someone who'd be interested in building a marina here, not the town, but. And I keep forgetting to call him, you know, for a week, I keep forgetting about it. I'll try and get him, this week.
Well, we do have somebody interested in building a marina at the Mason Station.
Right.
So we heard that in 2007.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like, it's
familiar,
great.
it's very familiar.
We have so many problems with the Mason Station, that
Right, and the other part is, when you land at all these other towns, you can walk to 20 restaurants.
right,
There's not too many great restaurants at
not
Mason
not
Station.
Station.
Right,
If the town was interested in leasing property down at the waterfront, I think you might have a chance there, but I don't see where you've got real estate where anybody would wanna walk off their boat, let alone any other thing.
Sounds kind of shallow, but I actually,
Yeah. It's not perfect, but. You gotta
it's
go
shallow,
right down here where the docks are.
yeah,
is it really?
yeah, but
Most of the half the docks are in like 2 feet of water sitting on the mud at low tide, so you can only use it for. High tide.
Well, I remember when I was, in middle school, the yachts used to come in and dock there, I
Yeah.
mean, big yachts.
One of the ones from below deck was there like 2 or 3 summers ago, so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can do it.
You got 30 feet of water at low tide at the harbor here, in the pier. It won't last when you come in, just touch the bottom at low tide.
I didn't realize it was that low there.
Yeah, definitely can.
Some major dredging.
Group. Would it be the Army Corps that does it, the dredging?
yeah. Well, they would approve it.
Right.
Very, very expensive. You know, the tide comes in around Westport Island and then it shoots back towards, Pottle Cove. And then back out again.
Sure.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I want a beach.
Beach?
I,
White's Island.
It will be underwater. It's gonna be a really.
still in the water.
Yeah.
I keep getting, I got one of those, speakers from, Amazon. And they tell me when I got something, but they also give me, I've got, beach warning hazards for Wiscasset. I've been trying to find the beach.
Beach
You
warning.
gotta get 20 years here, Bill,
Yeah.
before we're gonna tell you.
I still like the setup that they have in Rockport. I just think they, and maybe it was, I don't know how long it's been like that. They've got the beach. They've got, of course, they have, a big boat building there. And, they're quite active, but still it's quiet. It's not, crazy busy, but I think enough to sustain them, and,
The Waterford community has a proposal on the table. Has anybody seen that?
No. I haven't.
It's like a walk. They have like a whole series of proposals, but, they wanna redo the waterfront essentially from the sewage stream plant all the way up to the waterfront.
Floating or.
Is this a newer plan or an older? plan?
It's a newer
Okay, I
one.
haven't seen the new, I mean,
What,
this is
boardwalk?
again,
Be about $5 million just to put the
years.
park in.
this has
like the
been
boardwalk.
on the table.
Yeah,
yeah,
out in the water.
To connect each.
yes,
Yeah, but that's been on
I
That's
know,
been
that's what
years.
they've talked about for a
the
long time.
years.
I mean, it's a great idea for the fact that, to join the
I
recreational
think
pier
that's great.
to the
Yeah,
Kirby.
that's, they ought to do that first.
Yeah, that's a great, to me, that's great because you now have, that connection that's missing.
It's like
People walk
Booth Bay.
on the,
Booth Bay has the footbridge.
Right.
Where you go from east side
Right.
to the harbor. I
Right.
mean, it
right,
connects everything.
and so you've got, you've got the bathrooms down there and everything, but more people would go between them
Yeah.
because of the connection to
Cause I don't
downtown.
know how to get from the bathroom
Right,
up to
they
Water
walk
Street.
on the
Walk
railroad.
down the street, I mean,
Right.
it's all very weird.
Yeah, they walk on the
You know.
railroad tracks all the
And
time.
For people who don't know.
They looked
Yeah.
into it once and there was all sorts of complications with, there might be some little animal living under there and the shadow from the pier was gonna hurt them and crap like that.
Well, I just look at the opportunity, if you have a nice boardwalk, you can have portable little businesses that are going across that way as well, so that you could expand some of those seasonal businesses if there isn't any opportunity downtown.
You can also use more of
Mhm.
the WordFest kind of cities on that and the parking lot.
Yeah. You could have pop-ups and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Lovely, lovely little umbrella carts.
What they got, at least $5 million. And then.
Gotta spend money to make money, Bill.
And we can't afford the upkeep. Tearing it down like we did the pier out to White's Island.
Which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I still cannot believe it.
What, the White Island?
Yeah, I just dumbfounded that we did that. It's just like,
That we did what?
So we tore it down.
It
We
was,
took it
they
over.
was gone, there was nothing left to
but,
fall.
but if you don't maintain stuff, then
Well,
you
yes,
lose your money.
But that should have been 20
They
years
didn't own
ago.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
You know, but you got
They
it
didn't
like-
own it.
right.
And they didn't own it,
For
but
several years, they couldn't, it was kind of
I
like,
think it was handed off to us because they couldn't take care of it
yeah,
either.
exactly.
Yeah, well.
By the time we
Take
got it, it was
that was-
already in bad.
And they were gonna do all this and that, but if you look at the deed, you can't do anything out there. It's sort of like a wildlife
Yeah.
reserve, so
What would you do to it?
what would you do?
They wanted to put in a big, like, kids
No,
park,
yeah,
you know,
I'm
like a
saying
theme.
we're-
It's going to be
park.
underwater, there's no,
Right.
I mean, I
So was
suggested-
asking what he was talking
Oh.
about, because there's no economic benefit to it,
Yeah.
it's too, well, it's.
I said, hey,
Well, never
get
mind,
somebody
that's
to
what I'm
set up a kayak business on the pier. You wanna get out to White's Island, rent a kayak, rent a canoe,
Get back before the time.
and then you got a business downtown.
well, we did have the kayaks down there, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do any business.
We don't even have a boat rack for dinghies.
Hmm?
Asked the
No,
chairman of the committee about that, didn't know what the boat rack was, dinghy rack.
It's all about marketing.
Also.
Peter and Terry Wells actually offered to put up, some kayak racks on the,
Yeah,
Town.
they wanted to hang it on the building, but it only had 4 slots, and they were going to occupy 2 of them.
But dinghy racks is for the dinghies to get out to your boat. It's like that, but it's different, but, you know, now they keep them tied up, so if it rains, you gotta go bail them out. The dinghy rack, you put them in upside down and put them away, put a lock on them. And then they've got some buoys that they own themselves, and so, you know, we set up, it never met a price for recreational vehicle, boats. Set a price for it, done nothing, I reminded her 3 times. Even if they wanna get recreation stuff down there, but they only want a pier for
I'm surprised that they don't. I mean, why I don't know this actually, so you should talk to him about this, but do we have a Marlins where we charge for Marlins?
it. So I'm talking about, all 3 of them. There's room for probably 40 more down there, it costs you about $3,000 to set one up.
3,000?
Yeah, you gotta have a big block of cement down
Yeah,
there.
but you know, $3,000 for
Pardon?
$3,000 worth of.
It'd probably be cheaper if you set
I
a
need
number
more
of
now.
them at once. But if you did them one by one, you know, you have to bring out the special boat, blah, blah, blah.
It's already plotted.
I don't know, it seems like
But
we can make
always
money.
have
What do we rent one for?
Pardon?
What do we rent a mooring for?
Annually is like $1,200 or something like that for the summer, and you prorate it. But again, like I say, we had 3, I think they finally someone took one.
that's all?
I know, it seems like.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the size of the boat. I mean,
And there's no service here. and you
Right.
gotta look
But
up-
yeah,
Yes,
to
so-
your point of not
We
having.
had a
Right.
26-foot boat, we looked at doing, putting it in Wisconsin, and said, fuck that, pardon my language. And, put in a mooring ourselves in Colby Cove in Westport Island, and didn't worry about it, now you charge down here to launch the boat, so I can't say that there's enough big red hands that say, don't even bother coming here if you own a boat.
Well, yeah, because why would they come here?
Right.
We're not boater friendly, I'm hearing.
Oh, the other things, you know, it's 12, you're gonna go 12 miles to get to the ocean. And it's fine if you're going with the tide, you both ways, but if you're going against the tide, it can be a good fight.
But people would come and spend the day in Wiscasset if they could get gas, I think, and they could get back out of here. I mean,
Food at a place for lunch.
there's a lot of places to eat around and have lunch.
I could sit and drink wine.
They
and
love,
eat
everybody
oysters.
else loves riding down to the Osprey and
Yeah.
and Robin Hood, so.
Yeah.
Don't have any problem getting down there.
Mhm.
Well, it sounds like the waterfront is something we should address.
I agree,
That committee, every time we go to one of their meetings, it always ends up in chaos, so.
really.
No, that's not my description that I hear.
You watch, sit here and watch it. So Susan resigned from
Yeah, I saw that
Really?
today. Mhm.
I'm sorry to hear that, really. Wow.
Not sure.
Well,
Getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
yeah, this is not a.
Short meeting, cat long, guys, we got excited.
Yeah, I think we're done.
it. Motion to
Hey,
adjourn.
you're
Second.
17.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Can we shut the camera on?